There's been a lot of criticism of the way that the US announced Osama bin Laden's death today. Very little evidence was presented, or even has been presented now to date. The body was apparently destroyed before his demise was even announced. What's the reason for this information vacuum as you see it?
Well, I think the whole operation has raised more questions than it has answered. So, of course, it is mafia style to discharge a dead body somewhere, dump him somewhere. And something the President Obama has said on this issue is also contradictory. He said that last summer, 2010, he had ordered his people to go after Osama bin Laden, go after the top tier of so-called Al-Qaeda. But in fact, he had said that already, this very same thing on December 1st, when he, in 2009, more than half a year earlier than that, when he had announced the huge rise in American troops for Afghanistan, more than 30,000 guys, all in all nearly 40,000 more soldiers from NATO for Afghanistan. So there's a contradiction in there. Then if you look at the location, if you look at the fact that this was very close to a military school, a top-class military school in Pakistan, if you look at the fact that generals of the Pakistani army are living close by the quarter of, or the alleged quarter of Osama bin Laden, this is a very strange story that nobody has known about the whereabouts of the Al-Qaeda number one. And then, of course, there's this alleged cooperation by the Pakistani troops. Well, to my best understanding, if there were any Pakistani troops involved in this killing, this alleged killing of the Al-Qaeda leader, then maybe they were engaged in directing the traffic, but certainly not in the military operation itself, because the trust between Pakistan and the US is somehow blown after the incident with the killing of two Pakistanis by a professional CIA killer, and what Pakistan did to this gentleman later on, and the whole trouble between Pakistan and the US. So all in all, we must sum it up. The US have done little to win back their credibility, which was lost over the case of 9/11, and the way they treated the dead body also reinsures any criticism from the world over. So this is a very difficult situation for Washington right now. Kevin?
Mr. Horstel, there's an expectation in some quarters that maybe the US government will use his death as justification for the war on terror and continuing interventions, showcasing his fate as justice in action. Do you think that is a likely scenario now?
Well, Kevin, we have a lot of scenarios why the US could have done it. One, for example, is that there is simply the beginning of an election campaign in the US, and that one of the potential contenders, the billionaire Donald Trump, who speculates in houses and ground, it is very open. He said that if I am president, America will wage wars as in the past. That means we will go there, we win the war, and then we take what we can. And if I were president, and we would go into Libya and take the oil. This is what he said last week, and I think what happened here is also an answer to this kind of criticism that Obama is soft. There's another story. Right now, the US are trying to pressurize the Taliban into compliance somehow, so that a safe withdrawal of NATO troops might be envisionable. But in fact, I, as an old Afghanistan hand, I doubt that the Taliban can be pressured like that. But there is, of course, a threat of life to Mullah Omar and his friends drinking nowadays tea in Quetta in Pakistan. Kevin?
OK, I'm afraid we're out of time. But Christoph Horstel, thanks for being with us, political and business consultant as you are. Thank you.